My name's Marietta Mahani, and this week's Aqua Tip is all about how to wear a buoyancy belt. So, there's lots of different types of buoyancy belts, and pretty much as long as it feels comfortable around the client, then they're all good. One of my particular favourite ones are the buoyancy belts that are the same width all the way around, that they don't have a big section in the back. And the main reason why I prefer the ones that go around the waist rather than having this big shape behind the body is that with more foam behind the body, it tends to tip the client further forwards. You could argue that the client has to work harder with their posture and stay upright, but usually with fatigue, as it sets in, they will tip forwards anyway, and you're trying to encourage them to keep upright. It doesn't really work that well. So, I'm going to use this particular buoyancy belt. I'm just going to thread it through, just pop it on. Now, where you need to put the belt. Now, I've been to a few conferences and workshops where the presenter asked everyone to put their buoyancy belt on their hips. Now, if you have it on your hips and you get in the water, the first thing the water is going to do is move that buoyancy closer to the surface. It will move this closer to the surface. This is the narrowest waist part of my body, is my waist. That's going to go to here. But because it's too loose, because I have it around my hips, it's going to sit up there and be particularly uncomfortable, especially from a breathing point of view, but also this is very unpleasant. It needs to be around the waist, not across the hips. Secondly, it needs to be on firm. Yep. Why? Again, if it's loose, once you get in the water, it's going to shift its way up. And then it's much, much harder to readjust it once you're in the water. So it needs to be on firmly around the waist. A question I often have is, can women who are pregnant wear buoyancy belts? Well, if you're going to ask me my personal opinion, since it's my video, the answer is no. And let me explain why. So we have a corset around our body that creates the ability to create intra-abdominal pressure. So in our midsection we have what's called the core. We have a pelvic floor, which is the bottom of the core, diaphragm, which is the top, and then muscles around the midsection called transverse abdominis and multifidus in the back that help with supporting the spine and maintaining the contents inside our body. It also withstands intra-abdominal pressure. So when we cough, laugh or sneeze, those muscles allow a little bit of expansion, but certainly not too much, because the last thing we want to do is let the pelvic floor drop when we cough, laugh or sneeze, because that usually means that we have incontinence or we've leaked. Okay, so that's what those core muscles are there for. Now, if I add a corset, external corset, I already create this pressure. Now, if I don't have a strong pelvic floor, what's going to happen is as I squeeze against the contents of my body, everything's going to want to push down. And what that does is places a lot of stress on the pelvic floor. It can also make the pelvic floor weaker long term. Now, you're pregnant, you have a child, a placenta, more blood volume, and then you put a belt around your midsection, this places even more force on the pelvic floor. And so it's very, very hard, firstly from a breathing perspective, but certainly from a perspective of being able to maintain an intra-abdominal pressure that's normal inside the body. So my recommendation for pregnant women, especially as they go through later stages of their pregnancy, is ankle cuffs if they're comfortable with that, or a noodle or dumbbells. Not something that's going to restrict the contents of the body in the center, especially when you've got a child as well. So, where to wear the belt? Around your waist. How firm? Fairly firm, but you need to be able to still be able to breathe. And also be mindful of clients that are pregnant, have had hernias, or have a weak pelvic floor, because this is problematic. That's it for this week's tip.